Joe Dispenza says, "What you focus on, you attract." Marcus Aurelius says, "Expect the worst and nothing will surprise you." Introduction. Have we been lied to about positive thinking? What if I told you that Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, and every modern self-help guru have been teaching you only half the truth? What if I told you that their obsession with positive visualization might actually be making you weaker? Sounds crazy, right? But ancient Stoics, some of the greatest minds in history, would have challenged everything we've been told about the power of positive thinking. While modern gurus tell you to visualize success, Stoics believed in visualizing failure. While self-help books preach abundance mentality, Stoics embrace the harshest realities of life. While everyone tells you to focus on the best outcome, Stoics asked, what's the worst that could happen? But why would they do this? Did they want to be miserable? Were they just pessimists in togas? Or did they understand something about the human mind that we have forgotten? Because here's the shocking truth. Ancient Stoicism and modern neuroscience are starting to align in ways we never expected. In this video, we're going to break down the Stoic concept of premeditatio malorum, why they visualize negative scenarios, how modern neuroscience proves that this technique makes you mentally unbreakable, what quantum mechanics reveals about how your thoughts may actually shape reality, and finally, the real way to use both positive and negative visualization to become unstoppable. But before we dive in, let me ask you this. Have you ever tried positive visualization? Did it work for you? Or did it feel like self-deception? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's see how many of us have been blindly following this advice. Let's break the illusion. Let's unlock the truth. And let's see if modern self-help has been leading us in the wrong direction. Part 1. The Stoic Secret to Mental Toughness. Why they visualized failure. If you only expect the best, you will be destroyed by the worst. Seneca. Modern self-help gurus tell us, think positive. Visualize success. The universe will reward you. But if you told this to Marcus Aurelius, he'd probably laugh. If you told it to Seneca, he'd warn you that you're setting yourself up for failure, and if you told it to Epictetus, he'd remind you that you have no control over the universe, only your own mind. This is where the Stoics break away from modern self-help. Instead of fantasizing about success, they practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Instead of telling themselves, everything will go well, they asked, what's the worst that could happen? But why? Was this just self-inflicted suffering, a way to stay miserable? The truth. Modern science now proves that the Stoics were right. Part 2. Why positive thinking can backfire. The science behind it. Meet Dr. Gabriele Oettingen. She's a psychologist at New York University who spent decades studying positive visualization. And what she found shocked the world. Visualizing success can actually make people less likely to achieve it. In a groundbreaking study, Oettingen found that people who fantasized about achieving their goals, whether it was wealth, weight loss, or success, were actually less likely to reach them. Why? Because the brain, when vividly imagining success, can trick itself into thinking the goal is already achieved. This lowers motivation and effort, leading to less action in real life. Translation: if you visualize success too much, your brain gets lazy. Neuroscience explains this flaw. When you visualize a future where you're already successful, your brain releases dopamine, the feel-good chemical. That's why manifestation feels so good, but there's a catch. Your brain rewards you for imagining success, not for actually working toward it. That's why so many people who binge self-help content never actually change their lives. Stoics knew this problem 2,000 years ago. That's why instead of indulging in fantasies, they practiced negative visualization. And now, modern psychology is catching up. Part 3. How negative visualization builds a mental fortress. Let's compare two people. Person A, the think positive believer, reads self-help books, visualizes success, feels good in a moment, fails to prepare for obstacles, panics when things go wrong. Person B, the stoic mind shifter, visualizes failure before it happens, prepares for worst-case scenarios, builds resilience before things go wrong, is mentally unshakable when disaster strikes. Neuroscientists call this anti-fragility. Coined by Nassim Taleb, anti-fragility is when stress and hardship actually make you stronger, not weaker. And this is exactly why Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum. They knew that by mentally preparing for the worst, they would never be caught off guard. Seneca put it this way: he robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. Modern science confirms this. Visualizing failure actually increases motivation, problem-solving skills, and stress tolerance. Part 4. What quantum physics says about thoughts and reality. Now, let's step into the most controversial part of this debate. If thoughts don't create reality, why does quantum physics suggest otherwise? The double-slit experiment, one of the most famous experiments in physics, showed that particles behave differently when they are observed. Some have taken this to mean that consciousness influences reality. This is where Dr. Joe Dispenza and other manifestation gurus come in. They claim that since quantum physics shows that observation affects matter, our thoughts must shape reality. But here's the problem. Quantum physics applies to subatomic particles, not your bank account. There was no evidence that thoughts alone can change physical reality. However, they do change your actions, habits, and decisions. This is where Stoicism and quantum mechanics actually align. The Stoic truth: your thoughts don't change reality, but your interpretation of reality changes your actions. Your actions change your results. So who's right? The Stoics, who say prepare for the worst, or Dispenza, who says focus only on the best? The truth is, both can work, but only if used correctly. Part 5. How to combine Stoicism with modern neuroscience. Here's how you actually use both approaches together. 1. Start with negative visualization, like a Stoic. Imagine the worst possible outcomes. Ask, if this happens, how will I respond? Mentally prepare for failures before they happen. 2. Then use positive visualization, like Dispenza. Imagine yourself handling challenges like a warrior. See yourself succeeding because you prepared. Use visualization to reinforce confidence, not blind optimism. This is the balance most people miss. Too much negative thinking, you'll drown in anxiety. Too much positive thinking, you'll be unprepared for reality. The answer isn't one or the other, it's both. Conclusion: the final Stoic challenge. If you're relying on positive thinking alone, you're living in a fantasy. If you're preparing only for disaster, you're living in fear. True strength comes from mastering both. Now, A question for you. Do you think negative visualization makes people stronger or just more anxious? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see where you stand in this debate. And if you want to train your mind like a Stoic, check out the books and resources in the description. See you in the next video. Stay strong.